show is on Channel 1 TV. I am Benjamin Iketia. Welcome to this particular package of Scorecard. It's been a very interesting weekend. Manchester City bouncing back. Arsenal Football Club dropping points again. And Liverpool inching ever closer to the title. When you get to other leagues, it looks like Bayer Leverkusen have thrown in the title in the German Bundesliga. Real Madrid had a really rough time of it today in their game. Kylian Mbappe getting sent off as well. And then Barcelona edged their game by just the skin of their teeth. So a lot to chew on, a lot to digest here on Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let's do a quick turnaround. When we come back, I'll introduce my two good friends in the studio and then we'll get talking. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let me get to my people in the studio. Susu Graham is here. Champos, good?
I'm good.
What's been up with you?
Oh, I think I've had a good weekend. I think AC Milan have done something for me.
I thought you said you've been chilling.
Oh, no,
this laugh was so suspicious. When he said he's had a good weekend.
That was an old issue.
Oh, I thought it was a recent issue.
No.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
No, man. He likes chilling.
I've not chilled in a while.
Yeah,
I think the last weekend I chose like the Eid weekend. That's that weekend.
It's good. Coach, what's going on?
Charlie, cool. At least we've been there.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of rest. Tomorrow, God willing, I
Yeah.
will start school again. So at least
Oh,
I've rested.
you're on midterms?
No, we're on a short vacation break. We are now going to get a student ready for their Cambridge A-level exam.
Oh,
so
okay.
Sounds like an intense period coming up.
Very, very intense.
Anyway, it's been a good weekend. I hope you guys out there watching us from wherever you are have had a good weekend as well. Drop us a shout from wherever you are watching us from around the country and also from around the continent. We've had a few people text us from the Gambia and places like Uganda and stuff. Let me see more of that today. Let's get right into highlight mode for the day. Manchester City is where we begin the action. I'm very upset with Crystal Palace. They sold us false hopes. It was a game they started really well, went up by 2-0, looked like they could go up 3-0, and then allowed Man City into the game. Complete collapse from there on. Let's get the highlights. So an absolute goal fest there between Manchester City and Crystal Palace. Now, this result means that Manchester City have firmed up their position in the top bracket. They are looking to qualify for the Champions League, so a lot to play for. Let me start with you, Coach. I don't know if you are disappointed in Palace or you are impressed with Manchester City based on how this particular game played out.
I think it's a combination of both, but clearly, I think Palace have Man City where they wanted it to be. You see, if you go to the
Etihad.
the Etihad, and you have that quality of a start, 2-goal lead. How many teams go there and then take a 2-goal lead in the first half? Very comfortable, cruising, the best team by far.
In fact, they were a semi-automated decision for making it 3, and that would have been a very different game.
Exactly. We watched the disallowed goal, and my comment was that at this level, Eze should have gotten his movement right.
To have timed his run.
He should have just, instead of going straight, he knew Sa was going to make the pass. So he should have moved this way than going this way. Because the Man City players knew that they had to block the pass. But the gap in between them was so huge that there was no way they stand any chance of blocking the pass. As to how Eze did not get his run correct to make it a 3-0 lead. If I'm the coach, I'll be very, very
at 3-0, I think that would have been game over for them.
Mad at him. Because these are things that are done in training. Movement like this are the things that are practiced week in, week out, every day at the training or on the training grounds. He didn't do that right. But so that was the good part of Crystal Palace. Then, if you look at them, the first goal they conceded, you can't fault them. That was a Kevin De Bruyne brilliant masterclass. The second goal in 6s and 7s, a Mamouche pounce. Now, after that, you could clearly see that every Crystal Palace player head just went down. Even the coach was a bit too disappointed in himself and the players that he forgot to coach them. Because at recess, it was 2-2. So get them to start the second half in the same manner they started the first half, but this time with a bit more respect and a bit more caution. If you look at the goal that Man City scored, that third goal and fourth goal, it's like the ball was just being passed into open spaces, and then players just pound and capitalize on that. It is that important for me and for the EPL that Man City makes the Champions League, because if you look at what is beginning to happen to Nottingham Forest, I think their Champions League spot is even very, very shaky. We'll come to them later on in the show and we'll talk about them. But look, whoever advised Pep Guardiola to go and buy Mamouche, that was proper scouting. We sat here, I remember we sat here, we spoke about the figure involved.
Like 80 million.
And the two of us were of the view that that is a huge gamble. But again, every signing is a risk.
And also it was January, so.
And it was in January.
Teams don't make that kind of outlay in January.
But look, teams like Frankfurt won't see 80 million and turn it down.
Nope.
They will pounce. And I remember watching the clip where even the supporters of Frankfurt were happy that Mamouche was going. And they were clapping for him.
Good cash.
And because they were getting in good cash. And that is all they stand for. But that boy is quality. We've not seen anything yet from him.
He's on 6 goals already for the season.
And
six
his
league
movement,
goals.
his all-round contribution, the confidence, the audacity with which he does
very
what he
intense.
does. Very
and for a forward, I think he presses a lot.
A lot. And for me, he walks into the Man City team when they were struggling. You want to trust Pep Guardiola that he has what it takes to rebuild this team for next season. I am very, very scared for
the rest of the team.
If this Man City team get fixed by Pep, Mamouche will be a very, very important player.
And just fun fact, he is still third on the Bundesliga top scorers chart.
Having left them.
He has 15 goals on the Bundesliga top scorers chart.
Before he left, I think he had about 15 goals, 15 assists in all competition.
I remember
so
that.
when they were buying him, we could see that, okay, this player is playing well. But the question was, is it a purple patch?
That's right.
And
can he translate
knowing that
to the
team
Premier
is
League?
struggling, how will he adapt? And then the fee. I think, look, if you look at Mamouche as a player, I don't think Man City would have made a mistake by adding Mamouche. Let me put it that way. But adding Mamouche for 80 million is different from adding him for 40 million or 50 million.
Exactly.
Which is what it is. So that's why I got scared. I still think the fee is a bit high, but look, at a certain point, once you pay, whatever you pay for a player, if he's able to perform, it becomes irrelevant.
But
because at the end of the day, if you pay for someone and they don't perform, the fee matters more. Because just let me, so let's think about someone like Anthony, for example. If you had even paid 30 million for Anthony and he played the way he played for Manchester United,
everybody would have accepted that.
People would still be upset, but it would have been less scrutinized. We'll be like, okay, this guy is not good, but it's 30 million, let's cut our losses. Or when you pay a certain amount, then the conversation around you starts to dominate the headlines. You can't escape it. So I think at a certain point, once a player succeeds, the transfer fee becomes irrelevant.
Exactly. Just this short point. You see, for the fact that he's walked into this Man City team and he's made the quality of impact that he's made, I was asking myself, look, I clearly now understand where teams are not just the same. Because if he's walked into a Manchester United and he doesn't, look, if he doesn't even make the sort of impact that he's making at Man City, nobody will overly criticize him. So the pressure is very different. When it comes to playing for
pressure, environment,
demands, everything is different.
I mean, look, if you're a club like Manchester United, which is one of the top 3 clubs in the world, because it's Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona. When we talk about football clubs in the world, there's no two ways about it. So playing for Manchester United is very different from playing for Man City or Liverpool or Arsenal. There's no two ways about it. It doesn't matter that these 3 teams seem to be more successful in the league than Manchester United in recent. It doesn't matter. Because the pressure is Manchester United is a global brand. So look at this whole Onana issue we're having right now.
It's gone.
We've seen, look at Robert Sanchez, for example. I think Sanchez has been as bad, if not worse, than Onana. But
the scrutiny is different. Definitely so. The spotlight definitely shines brighter when you play in Manchester, especially on the red side. So Omar Mamouche, 6 Premier League goals already. I say he should do 10 goals and then he can go to bed. He has no issues with anybody. I'm definitely sure he's capable of getting those before the season wraps up. Let's get to another game that has hurt Arsenal's chances in the league. I mean, to many an Arsenal fan, the league has already wrapped up in their minds. There's no catching Liverpool at this point. But again, they dropped points in what everybody thought would be a game required to boost confidence ahead of Wednesday tie against Real Madrid. It didn't happen. Split points with Brentford. I'm sure they'll take it. Let's get the highlights. So Arsenal dropping points there. Let me talk to Graham quick on this one. 1-1. Arteta tried to rotate his squad a little. Chance creation was still a big problem in this game for them. Just quick thoughts on that.
I mean, I feel like once Saka doesn't play, they'll have these issues in terms of chance creation. So that's not too surprising for me. I mean, he came on later. They still couldn't get the results. But at the end of the day, I think for them, if they don't lose, it's fine. If you don't get any injuries, it's fine. We are hearing Partey did come off, but we are not sure about the seriousness. But I think he'll be able to play on, I believe it's Wednesday they are playing. Yes, he'll be able to play on Wednesday. So I think in that regard, it's gone fine for them. So, look, at the end of the day, if we are being realistic, they knew their title was done. But you have to show that you care enough. You have to put some effort into it. I think a lot of Arsenal fans have given up. I think now, after that big win at the Emirates, knowing that you're going to the Bernabeu, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would have been okay to see a lot more players rested. I think that has given them the mind that, look, the Champions League is there for the taking. We can knock out the defending champions. We go into the next game against PSG, we have beaten before. Aston Villa, who we know intimately because we play them twice a season at the minimum. And there's some confidence there. So, for me, I think the lineup was fine. I think the result is acceptable because if you're Arsenal, I don't think you're in danger of not being in the top 5. It will take a disastrous run of form to not finish in the top 5. So, at this point, the only difference is prize money. So, about your finances, maybe second is better than fourth in terms of finances. Second is better than third. But at the end of the day, for us now, second and fifth, the value is more or less the same because what you want to be is in the Champions League. The rest is not as important. So I think that will still happen. And obviously, it's disappointing to throw away a lead because they felt they could have won that game. I think Saka, when he got that ball, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would have hoped he would have scored that, but it wasn't to be. So okay results for both teams, but I'm sure Arsenal would have preferred to win for sure. But I think they'll take it ahead of the Real Madrid game.
Good.
I have a slight problem with the selection of Mikel Arteta. Yes, you could clearly see him trying to shuffle the team a bit and rest some players. But if you've chosen to rest some players, I don't think any player in this team needed a rest than Thomas Partey. He's by far your most important player. And that game on Wednesday is by far the biggest game of your season. So if there's any player who needed to be rested, in my view, it's Thomas Partey. If you choose not to rest him, you don't put him out wide. Where on the day, if he's not lucky to have a very pacey winger, you see him going back and forth like that.
Yeah.
Knowing the injury record of the young man, he normally will not get kicked before he gets injured. He runs, no one, I'm not surprised that after more or less running the whole length of the pitch, scoring a wonderful goal, some few minutes later, he had to be substituted on the grounds that he felt something. What about if that thing is hanging and then you take him on Wednesday, you start after 15, 20 minutes, the thing is aggravated and he cannot continue the game. You come back and look at this very game and say, what at all did you do? Why did you play him? I believe that in the case of Arsenal, the league is gone. How many players do they have injured? Even look at the tackle on Martinelli. What is Raheem Sterling doing on the bench? Martinelli, I believe, together with Saka on Wednesday, will be two of Arsenal's very, very important Arsenal that they will need on the day to undo the threat and whatever remedy are believing and hoping they will overturn. Look at the tackle on Martinelli. If that, in my view, should have been a red carded.
In fact, Martinelli himself said that if his leg wasn't planted, his leg would have.
He's gone. He would have gone, and that would be another end to the season. So at times you look at Mikel Arteta. Yes, you have been, but still the little details when it comes to how to manage this Saka injury that kept him so long. We sat here, we say, look, he's playing the young man too many games. Rest him. He will not listen. Saka went.
Do you remember Saka
close to 3.5 months?
Got injured earlier in the season. Yes. It would be 2-3 weeks. And within 4 days, he came back for the Liverpool game. Do you remember that? I mean, he scored and everything, but it just showed that Arteta, if Saka is not around,
he's not comfortable.
He's not comfortable.
So why would you even risk? Partey, Martinelli. So don't do that. Look,
I just want to say something.
Go ahead.
I understand what coach is saying, but I think also other right back option he has here in Timber is also very injury prone. So for him, it's like at that point he doesn't know. He's looking at two players who are very injury prone and thinking to himself, who looks more likely to get injured? I think that's the calculation. I understand where you're coming from.
And the truth also is that they are completely depleted in the fullback roles. Like
that is
almost
why
all their fullbacks are out.
No wonder. Most of his academy boys are thinking of leaving. Ateta cannot tell me here, as I sit here today, that Arsenal don't have a right back in the academy. He can't tell me that. Just to call upon him
for this game,
for this very game, he could have easily done that.
And to be honest, when he's called upon them, they've shown that they can play. Miles Lewis Kelly, he's shown that he can play.
The boy who
Ethan Nwaneri, he's shown that he can play.
He's shown that they are all very good and very capable.
Let's be honest, Arsenal is one of the better academies.
When
you talk about the academies in England, it's Arsenal, United, and Chelsea.
Yeah,
those are the top ones.
Look at the two boys, because he couldn't show them a clear path.
Yeah,
who've gone to United?
They've all gone to United and they've made immediate impact. So Ateta, look, for me, I believe 100% that they will qualify on Wednesday. But from what I've seen today, or from what I saw yesterday, I just hope the controller is 100% fit. Because you need 100% Thomas Partey. Because look, Valverde, I'm very sure, will not play at right back on Wednesday.
Nah, they're going to shuffle things up.
Because they wouldn't want Partey to have the sort of dominance that he had. Or when Arsenal get the ball, put somebody on Partey and get them to play without him being killing involved. Well, you need the young man to be fully fit to move and then call and then be able to detect the tempo of the game. And when you are risking him like the way he's doing, I'm shocked he did that.
And to add to that, there's no other player you can put in. I think the only other player who seems a bit close is Zinchenko. And the truth be told is, would you want to play Zinchenko
in that role?
In a big game like that?
Jorginho.
Jorginho, thank you I forgot about. But those two players, they can do their job.
Yeah.
But against Real Madrid in a game like this, it's very difficult. I think Jorginho makes sense if you are like 0-0. It's the 60th, 70th minute. Then you bring him. You maybe take off an attacker.
You bring him alongside Partey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You take off an attacker and you bring him and he and Partey in the middle for the last 20 minutes. That's why I see Jorginho in this time. By having to play him for maybe half an hour, let's say if Partey goes off after 30 minutes, like coach said, maybe he tweaks something, I would not be comfortable. The way I feel about Real Madrid's chances changes completely.
Real Madrid, Thomas Partey, that's on Wednesday, but Arsenal have dropped points. Let me read a few messages before we take our first break. This one's from Blade from Wora Wora. I don't know if that's the name of the place. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It says that kindly tell coach if he thinks they can qualify using the Europa League to the Champions League, they should try and avoid relegation first.
But we've not even spoken. How is Man United going to get relegated? They are 2021 points.
I'm not even sure what he's worried about. He says, you guys look like you want to use Europa League to qualify.
He's a Chelsea fan.
But coach said that they will win the Europa League.
I've said it. That they will lose at least 15, 16 games in the league. And they will end up winning the Europa League. By the time they are rather in the Champions League. And the Chelsea.
But Chelsea, they won't make the Champions League.
Well, Kofi Vodafone from La Paz says, Man U go bounce back because the coach be strategic guy with a different but effective approach to modern football. He just gets lazy boys. He just has lazy boys he must offload. And United will be great again. This one here is good evening to you guys. Okay, so Edia TV, our guy from Lome in Togo, says, I would like to say a big thank you to you guys for what you are doing for sports in general and football in particular. Dr. Coach Nimley, calls Coach Doctor, says, regards for myself and my wife, merci beaucoup. Ezono from Cove Town says, as I keep saying, the season is over. Liverpool have won the league. Arsenal can't do anything about it. We can afford to lose 3 of the matches and still win the league. We are Liverpool, and that means more. This one says, Man United have now lost more Premier League games since Sir Alex Ferguson retired than during his time in charge. Under Sir Alex, 810 games, 114 defeats. Since Alex left, 450 games, 115 defeats.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he's an ardent follower of Sports Panorama. He says his greetings to Coach Dr. Samson Obed Apea. Big shout outs to Dr. Apea for that one. This one says, you are 2 goals down and in need of a game changer from the bench since you decided to bench your right backs for a reason best known to him and God. You have 2 right backs available. One is arguably the best in his position when fit. Maresca chose to bring on Gusto, who has never scored a goal in his career. My break-even Kumipreko Os Ashe. The least said about Maresca, the better God could judge.
What do you say? My break even.
Yeah, Kumipreko Odds. Charlie, he put all his everything into those odds, and Maresca has destroyed it. Charlie, take heart. Let's take a quick break here on the show. Show proudly brought to us by Scorecard. It's Scorecard. We'll be back after this particular break. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let's get on with more highlights. This time, let's get to the camp of Chelsea Football Club. They had a game that I thought was the easiest in the remaining fixtures left for the season. Some way, somehow, they managed to make it look really complicated and could only manage a draw against lowly Ipswich Town. Let's get the highlights. So Jadon Sancho with a worldie. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough to give them all 3 points. They had to come back from 2 goals. Let me start with you, coach. You have a very interesting expression on your face. It's like you don't know what to tell Chelsea anymore.
I don't know. Look, to be very, very honest, you remember last week we came here?
Yeah.
I questioned the approach, the selection against Brentford. And I did say that as coaches, yes, you want to take it game after game or game by game.
Yeah.
But you have to project into the future. You need every coach. We are at the business end of the season. If you are fighting for things, you should know by now how you are going to get what you seek to achieve based on game by game basis. We looked at the fixtures. So we'll deal with that. We looked at the fixtures last week, and it was clear that the game against Brentford and the game that they play against Ipswich looked the very easy ones. When I say very easy, in comparative or when comparing it to the other teams that they will also be playing.
Yeah.
So Chelsea comes onto the pitch today, lackluster, very sluggish.
So let me just give it to you. So they have.
I don't know. It's Fulham, Everton, Liverpool, Manchester United.
No, Newcastle.
No, I'm not saying the order. I'm just saying the teams. Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. So those are the 6 teams. And if you look at them, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, I'll say Fulham are kind of in that European race with them.
Exactly.
Manchester United are difficult in their big games. Liverpool are better than them.
Of course.
But it's the fact that it's a round. So they have Liverpool, Newcastle, United,
so they
and
play
Forest.
Liverpool next.
Yeah. No, so they play Fulham next.
Next.
Then they have Everton. Then Liverpool,
and Everton
Newcastle.
are in good form as well.
Then Liverpool,
Newcastle, United.
Look.
If they get 6
and
points.
Then Forest. And Forest will be fighting to hold their Champions League slot too.
And I think that's the last day of the season. Look, I'll be surprised if they get 6 points from those games.
Yes, he's always maintained that they may not even make Champions League.
Oh, I've been sure. And now I'm more sure than ever.
The coach is also not doing himself any good.
Yeah, true.
I don't know, if you watch Chelsea play, is it because Man United is not doing well, when you are overly critical about Chelsea, people may think you are trying to bring about some form of equality.
You're trying to deflect.
It's not about deflection. It's about looking at what Chelsea are doing, what they can easily achieve, and the manner in which they are successfully trying hard not to achieve what is very capable within them.
Yeah.
How do you drop points against Ipswich? They are virtually one of the relegated teams.
Yep.
Chelsea, by their very high standard, will be sweeping Ipswich away.
Ipswich have gotten 4 points from them this season.
Yes, they beat them
at
home.
Yeah.
And
they nearly lost this game.
There you go. I don't know what they are really doing. We've complained about their lack of defensive organization. In this league, from the way they are playing, they are telling everybody that they need 3 goals to win all the other games.
Yep.
And that is practically
And that's why they're
impossible.
struggling.
And you know,
because they're always conceding goals.
It was always Cole Palmer.
Now the young man is completely
He's not
switched
scored
off.
in like 14 games or
14
something.
games.
Is he still playing?
Oh, he's been
he's still
like
playing.
14 games. So when you go from a
That's
guy,
crazy.
and I said this at the end of last season, and people thought that I was being negative anti-Chelsea. there's no way he repeats last season.
No, he was never going. But that was his first full season as a first-team player.
And
they bought him from Man City. He was used there sparingly, peripherally. He was not an integral member of that Man City team. You spent over 50 million on him, gave him the platform, and we all saw how good he can be.
And I wanted
at his age, just a minute, at his age, if you are going to ask him to repeat that level of dominance and consistency, then you'll be asking too much from the young man. And then teams too, coaches have looked at how Chelsea have gone about their business, and they've mapped up strategy to not only prevent him from influencing game, but even block the team Chelsea from playing through Palmer. Right now, if you watch them play, they hardly get the ball to him. And if they're going to get the ball, they are getting the ball to him in places or in positions where he's very far from goal, because they've more or less demarcated the areas where he could be very deadly and influential, and they block the services. So as the head coach of the team, Mr. Maresca, why are you getting them to play too much of a control game? This team have not been built to controlled football games. It will take time for them to play like that. Go on in the earlier part of the season. They were not bossing games. They were playing more like a transition team.
Yeah.
And the results were better.
And the results were far, 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 far better. Yes, they may argue that just as Arsenal are saying that injuries to Saka and Havertz might have dented their season, they may argue that the form that Nicola Jackson showed at the beginning of the season, when he got injured, there was nobody in that Chelsea team, in Nkunku or whatever he's called. They just couldn't replicate the form of Nicola. But as the coach, it doesn't mean you should completely switch from what was working. Stick to that. If it starts to show signs of not working, then you change it.
Let me say something about that. Actually, he didn't want to play like that. They were playing like that. Was like, when a new coach comes and there's a bit of the old coach in their team.
You want to allow it to.
That was why they were playing a bit more counter.
But it was working.
But you see, this more solid style that they are very slow. That's what he wants.
Yeah, that's what he wants. Yes, I know.
And it's not working because the players just can't execute.
Yes.
And you see, we've complained about, and that's why I've complained about Maresca, and I've said it before, like the way he's coaching, he's not using the players to the best of their ability. You have an idea of what you want to play, but you don't have enough control over recruitment to say you want to play that way, because they are buying players for you. And the Chelsea board had to take half of the blame, because we can't be at a stage of your project. You spent over £1 billion, and you can't tell me that your goalkeeper, we are not sure if he's good enough for a Champions League club. Your centre backs are certainly not good enough for a Champions League club. Apart from Reece James and Cucurella on some days, you are not sure about the fullbacks. Okay, I'll say the midfield. If you look at Caicedo, Enzo, Lavia, Palmer.
But don't even mention Lavia. I mean, he's more like a Messi Mount.
He's become a full liability for them.
But when he plays, he was good. But I'm just saying that. Yeah, no, I'm just talking about in terms of when they play. Which is why I mentioned Reece James.
Don't even mention Lavia, because if the player
cannot stay 3 times.
The whole season, he's not played up to 10 games.
No, I'm saying that when he's playing, I'm just giving the point about the recruitment. Don't get me wrong.
I understand where you're
saying that some of the players, you see that when they play, there's something. But even the wings, you look at Neto and Madueke. Okay, they are fine. Then after that, you are wondering about the other guys. What does Dewsbury Hall do in that team? Even Nicolas Jackson, are we sure
what about... What happened to Mihailo Mudryk? Where's Mudryk?
He has his drug test.
Yes, so I mean, since that incident, it's like he's disappeared from the face of the earth.
Teams like Chelsea, United and co, if you get yourself entangled in those things,
they isolate you.
Morally, they put you aside.
And to be fair, he wasn't even playing that well.
That's what I'm saying.
And even Nicolas Jackson.
And that's another player they spent crazy money on.
Nicolas Jackson, there's a question mark about his future as a striker because of his finishing.
Yes.
You don't know which Nicolas Jackson you get in front of goal. So it has to make you ask, can we rely on a striker like that? So there's too many questions about a team that they spend so much money. And that's the main issue. Then you come to the coach who does not utilize the players to the best of their ability. I think they made a mistake in hiring Maresca. Because they should have looked at the players they have and what they want to do and see whether Maresca was right for the job. I think that was the mistake. So all these things combined, and then now you look at their last 6 games. And the way Chelsea play, if you play against teams which are very smart, like Fulham and Everton, who like to sit back and be very smart, constrict their space, they can easily get 1 point from those 2 games, right?
Please, how many away games Those 6 games, how many are they playing?
Let me just verify that for you.
Those 2 games are very difficult. Liverpool, maybe they should hope that Liverpool have won the title
So
already.
Fulham is away. Fulham is at Craven Cottage.
Most likely will lose that.
Then they have back-to-back home games against Everton and Liverpool. They go to St. James's Park.
They will definitely lose that.
Then they're at home to United, and then they go to the City ground, I believe, to play
And
Forest.
ironically, Liverpool might be the easiest game because Liverpool might be champions by that time.
Yeah.
But if they are champions, they will, you see, normally champions don't easily throw games away like that.
No, but it depends on maybe Andy Slot say, okay, we've won. Maybe they win the week before, so it's like, okay, this is the chance to rest some players, let some players play. That might be the only saving grace because I'm trying to look at these fixtures. Newcastle and Fulham. Fulham, I think, okay, we can get the conference league. So Newcastle, Fulham, and Forest are going to be very tough games. Unless Forest have secured top 5 by the last day.
If by then Manchester United is still very deep in the Europa, then that may be an easy game.
Exactly.
But Chelsea are in trouble because, I mean, with this result and with Newcastle's result,
they are now
they're falling out of the Champions League place. So they are sit on the table now.
And Newcastle are playing. Newcastle
have a game in hand.
Bournemouth and Fulham are playing. So let's see how that goes. And Newcastle have a game in hand.
Yeah, when they play that game that they should have played.
They're in trouble. They are in a lot of trouble. Well, let's get more highlights. This time, let's go to Anfield. Liverpool Football Club were up against West Ham. They've had a difficult time lately. They are grinding out the results. It's not been the easiest of times for them. They are still managing to make it happen. They got all 3 points in this game, courtesy Virgil van Dijk. Let's get the highlights. So Virgil van Dijk getting that all-important header, atoning for that error that led to the goal. Let me start with you on this one. So Liverpool, slow but sure. I think they need about 6 points to wrap it up.
6 points from 6 games.
Yeah.
So
it's a wrap.
Yeah. I mean, it's been clear for a while, and it's the fact that they were dropping points and Arsenal were not taking advantage. In some cases, Arsenal were even doing worse.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool can draw, then Arsenal contrive to lose, that kind of thing. So
let's talk about West Ham more then. They've dropped to 17.
Oh yeah, horrible.
As a result of this particular game. I find it hard to tell if Graham Potter has made any headway. They look a more organized team.
They look worse.
No, actually, when I watched this game, I think that under what's the guy's name? They would have lost this game by 4-1 or more.
That is true, but they also won more points. I think they were winning more games. I think there was more, okay, we have some games we'll win, we have some games we'll lose. But with Graham Potter, it's like nothing is happening. It's like they are just they are sleepwalking basically. But luckily for them, there's too much of a gap. I think if this season was maybe 60 games, obviously it won't be that. But if we had 60 games to play, like let's say the season was a 60-game season, Ipswich or Leicester could have crossed them. I think they've been that bad, So for me, I'm wondering what Graham Potter has done, because you come in as a manager, you're talking about how Lopetegui hasn't worked, we're bringing in Graham Potter, what did he come to do? And it's like, obviously, I'm not expecting to see like you start challenging for European places, but I don't expect you to drop to 17. Because when Lopetegui left, they were like, 14th, 13th? So it means Everton have picked up, teams have dropped, like, it's just...
Teams like Spurs and Wolves have all done better than them in that spell.
Yeah, so for me, it's very disappointing. So, and considering the players they have, considering what they have done, this is a team that won the Conference League, 3 years ago?
Let me give you context. So when you look at the form guide, in the last 5 matches played by every team, they rank 18th. Yeah. They've taken just 2 points in the last 5 games. They've scored 4 goals and conceded 7.
So like you said, they look more solid because they're not conceding a lot, but they're also not scoring a lot. So it's like, what is the team actually doing? And for football fans, that's probably a bit more boring, because it's like you're sitting there and you lose 1-0, you don't really create much. So let's see how it works out for next season. But I think this season, and a lot of the coaches who seem to have come mid-season, it looks like it's been a mixed bag, because you have Vitor Pereira and David Moyes who seem to have done very well. Yeah. And looking at Amorim and Graham Potter, it seems like they've made the teams worse, quote unquote, because the results seems to have like a downslide. So it's very difficult to see. But look, I think both of them were always going to be judged on next season, not this season. So let's see how it goes. But for West Ham, this is very disappointing, because this is a team that has the 7th highest revenue in the Premier League. You can tell they have European ambitions, because if you are making that much money in the Premier League, look, they are one of the 20 richest clubs in the world. I think a lot of people don't realize that they make revenue comparable.
A huge stadium.
Yes, they make revenue comparable to some of the teams like Inter Milan, AC Milan, those type of teams. So they should be doing much better. So I think it's a very disappointing season, but next season, let's see what it holds.
I think, you see, this is one of the reasons why I don't subscribe to sacking the manager during the season when the team is not seriously battling relegation. Because if you look at Graham Potter, he walks into this West Ham team. The players there clearly understand that there are 3 or 4 teams, or let me say 3 teams,
worse off,
that are worse off. They then understand that we actually don't stand any chance of getting European football. So they are just marking time so that the season will come to an end. Then they go and come back and start the season afresh. When you are working under such conditions, tactically it's very difficult to motivate. But I'm not disappointed in Porter. I'm disappointed in the players because as a player, you should know you are playing for your future here. You should know clearly that you need to impress this manager. Because at the end of the season,
you could be moving on.
Reports will be presented, the team will be looked at, and then the manager now will be told, especially when the owners brought him mid-season, he would tell them during his interview, these players are not my players. So if you want me to go and take the job, I'll do my best, but you cannot hold me responsible for the outcome. If we succeed in staying in the Premiership, I want you to back me. So as individual players, are they giving Mr. Porter reasons why he should keep them in the team? Or they are giving him reasons why he should ship them out? If you watch this West Ham team played, some of the players came on loan, like Todibo and Cole. Clearly, he has to go back to where he comes from because he's simply not good enough. And if you look at the West Ham team as it stands, in the middle of the pack, I have said they're one of the laziest teams in the league. They don't run.
I don't even know if it's they're lazy or they can't run. Because sometimes I see, sometimes you see Rodriguez and Alvarez trying to run.
It's like they are struggling. And this Graham Potter,
one of the slowest teams in the league.
He wants his team to control. We saw him at Brighton. He started the beautiful work that we all admire. De Zerbi came, continued, and the current manager has continued likewise. So I'm disappointed in the players that they clearly are not seeing the need to play for their future. On the part of Liverpool, look, in recent times, they've not been very convincing.
Just stay on West Ham a little for me.
There you go.
I'm about to say that, so in the context of how West Ham have done, what does that mean for Kudus?
Look, Nketia, what most people will not say, that is what someone like me will say. Because maybe because of my coaching background. Truth be told, the young man hasn't helped himself a bit more this season. I was very critical of Lopetegui playing him as what? As a left winger. And I kept saying that. He cannot be asked to play there because genuinely, he's naturally not a winger that will go past any fullback when he's not given the chance to cut onto his left foot. Because he doesn't fancy going to the byline. He wants to cut onto his left foot and either pick the pass because he's a very good striker of the ball. Now, Potter comes, he never plays him as a left winger. He's either playing him as a number 10 or as a false 9 or as
a right winger.
How well has the young man done? Very questionable in my view. 2, his work rate, maybe he's been infected by the proper lack of work rate of his teammates. Because naturally the team is a very lazy team. So he's got himself to be part of that DNA, and he's also showing signs of laziness.
Because a lot of these players were there when David Moyes was there, and you would never accuse them of being lazy.
No, even under Moyes, they were not. You see, Moyes sat deep and played on the counter. Moyes clearly realized that they can never be an expansive team. Anytime they go toe-to-toe, they end up losing the game. Even against teams they should be beaten. So he sat back, and then he got,
be honest, if you watch West Ham play,
Kudus, Bowen, to be very explosive.
If you watch them play, their front 3-4, don't press. And if they press, it's very lackadaisical.
It's very lackadaisical. And for me, look, when I'm critically analyzing the player, I don't only look at when the player is on the ball. I look at what you actually do. Because in my view as a coach, that is the most important thing. If we can all work tirelessly off the ball, we are giving ourselves 70% chance of winning the game. And that is what Kudus is, together with some of his other teammates, are not doing.
I just want to add to what Coach said, and Coach is absolutely right. If you're a top team and you look at Kudus this season, what motivation do you have to buy him? The numbers are not great.
Yep.
The off-the-ball performance is not great.
Completely not.
You're having issues with your coach. Basically, everything about you is now screaming a red flag. From being a green flag when you first came, that this guy is scoring a lot of goals.
In fact, when he doesn't score, he doesn't contribute anything to the team.
But how many times have we not seen him walk when his team is not on the ball? We've seen him, and we've watched the games together. I've pointed those out to you. Look at him, he's walking. That is unacceptable. Liverpool, Arsenal, do you see their players walk? When Arsenal lose the ball,
you see Saka in the right
all
back
of them
zone.
running.
Saka after Mohamed Salah is the best winger in the league, and Saka goes to the right back zone to defend.
Yep.
Look at teams like Barcelona, even Lewandowski. When Barcelona is not in possession, he's the one triggering the press and coordinated by the rest. At 36.
So look, seriously, and look at the talent he has. I don't think
immense talent.
I don't think if I look at some of the wingers playing for the other teams,
they are better than him.
They are better than him if you give them
on the ball.
I think he can do what Luis Diaz does. He can do what Martinelli does. He can do who the man's there.
Savinho, Doku.
He can do what they do.
Kudus is better than them.
Do you see? But if your attitude seems to be wrong, that you're not pressing, and sometimes even the way you behave when your team is down, your head dropping and stuff, they are looking at these things. They want someone who, hey, you are losing, you are not giving up. You only give up when the game is lost.
Somebody who can rally his teammates in bad times.
I think for me, it's very disappointing. And, on the Premier League preview show, Abeku asked whether Kudus had outgrown West Ham. And I told him that there's no way.
No, he can
because your team is performing poorly. And you're not doing anything to change their fortunes. Because if you look at this team, can we really say that if Kudus wasn't playing, they'd be so much worse off? How different would they be if Kudus wasn't playing?
How many goals has he scored this season? How many assists has he given?
I think he has like 2 assists this season and like 3 goals.
In over 32 games.
Yeah.
In 32 games. No.
For me, it's been a very... And knowing the talent he has, knowing the player he is, because we've seen him in this league before. Yeah. It's not like this is his first season and he's struggling. We've seen him in his play and be one of the top wingers in the league. We've seen him complete the most dribbles in this league. So we know what he's capable of. So when you see him play at this is not even a level below. This is 2 or 3 levels below what he can do. It's very painful as a Ghanaian. So we just hope that next season is better.
Well, Kudus Mohammed, according to perhaps his own trajectory, was supposed to have had a better season than his debut Premier League season. It's not gone according to plan at all. So it looks like another season at West Ham is staring him in the face. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you that game between United and Newcastle, and then we'll delve into some other leagues as well. Stay with us here on Scorecard. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Scorecard here on Channel 1 TV. Let's get on with more highlights. This time, let's get to Man United and Newcastle. It was at St. James's Park. It was a pretty difficult game for Man United, and in the end, Newcastle were just too strong at home for Old Trafford's finest. Let's get to that particular game. So Newcastle United putting Man United to the sword in that game. The coach, let me start off with you on that one. Huge win for Newcastle, takes them into the top 4. For Man United, I don't even know if it's the fact that they lost or the manner in which they lost the game. They must be really disappointed.
I think, look, as a coach, Amorim will be very disappointed on grounds that of the 4 goals conceded, I sincerely believe that 3 could have been avoided. 3 were all individual errors, mistakes. So you cannot pin that on the coach. Neither can you pin that on the system. No. When players are unable to decide right and therefore act right, you don't look at the coach and say he's the one who is not coaching the team right. The first goal, tactically, you have to blame Lindelof. You are with Isaac. Newcastle has the ball, and everybody has a marker. Euro has his marker. You being the center, you have Mazrari has his marker. Now your marker steps out from you or steps away from you to pick up the ball. What do? You follow him there. That is fundamental in football. Go and make life uncomfortable for him. Isaac moves away from you, and then you allow him to go. Once you allow him to go and he controls the ball, look at the control. Yeah. Takes the ball. If you were there, the ball went up.
Yep.
There's no way he's picking that pass.
Yeah.
You just put your hand around him, unbalance him. He doesn't get the pass right. The problem is solved. But the moment you now step backwards, you are now anticipating where he's going to put the pass. If the pass doesn't fall within your trajectory, you're out of the picture. And look at the finish from Mr. Brilliant finish from Tonali. Garnacho scored a very, very super goal in my view. The second goal, look at the marking of Dalot. By then, he's already been shown the yellow card.
Yep.
So it was very difficult to commit. I understand that. But the third goal, Mazrari slipped. Ugarte won the ball, gave it to him, pointed to him that give the ball to Bayenda. He felt that he could, of course, he had the situation under control, but he slipped and that was it. And then the fourth goal was also a giveaway. Now, this has been the story of the season. And to be very brutally honest, it hasn't been like this only for the season. It's been the story for the past 3, 4, 5 years. Ten Hag came in there, did extremely well in his first season. But I still maintain that it didn't take the problem or it didn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
This Manchester United team have got close to, you see, the players in totality were close to about 19 that should have exited. The likes of Pogba, the likes of Matic, the likes of Mata, those guys, United didn't sell them. They all stayed, ran down their contract and left. And if you have players leaving, 8, 9 of them in the same season, there's no way you're going to bring 8, 9 players back. Again, as we speak, Johnny Evans, the third goalkeeper, Lindelof, Eriksson, Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, name them, Anthony.
Another mass cloud.
Close to 10 of them will have to exit. Now, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers, do they have the money to recruit at least, not 10, but they can
4 or 5 quality players.
At least 6 minimum quality players. That is what they need to do. And then believe in that. That is why I'm completely and will always be against the sale of Alejandro Garnacho. He's by far, he's 20 years. You cannot sell a 20-year-old player who clearly has got the potential of being one of the best players in the world in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Keep him. Bring in experienced players to complement them, help them to be taught the right thing so that they will improve. I understood the selection for today. So there was no Maguire. There was no Delete. There was no Dogu didn't start.
So anticipation of Olympic Lyonnais.
That has to be the focus. Because as for the league, you're not going to get relegated. You're not going to win anything. You're just playing because you need to turn up for those games and honor them. The main focus of this Man United team should be the Europa League. There's a 2-2. There's still everything to play for. But look, just a quick
frankly,
one.
that should have been a 2-1.
That should have been a 2-1, but thanks to Onana. Then again, strictly on Newcastle. Look, they've been that good. I've always said that if they're not the most physical team in the league,
they are.
I don't know who to compare them with. They may be Bournemouth.
Those two teams,
they are very, very physical, powerful, and athletic. The Newcastle team are. That is why, again, if you're a Chelsea fan, you should be very worried that you are competing for Champions League slot with these guys. But these guys, on their day, can bully, can overplay, can overpower you, and make sure you submit yourself where they want you to be. Congratulations to them because they were that super brilliant against a very poor Manchester United side. Nketia, will you play Onana on Thursday or play Bayenda?
No, Bayenda plays.
No, I think Onana plays.
You think
because,
you think he will want to
I tweeted something. I said, drop Onana and sell him, period. It's a complete liability. That should not change at the end of the season. He has to go. But if you look at where United find themselves currently, Bayanda signed the contract knowing that he's going to be the number 2 goalkeeper.
Yep.
He knew. Now he walks into the team. He's given the chance to prove himself as a very able replacement.
Yeah.
I don't think he did himself anything good today. But again, having taken Onana out of the limelight a bit, he sat at home.
Yeah.
He's watched this. He's reflected on that. One thing that I've admired about Onana is his ability and his temperament.
Confidence, yeah.
He's got good temperament. And as it stands now, between the 2 goalkeepers, I think the one most, because now on Thursday he'll be in front of the Man United fan. Nobody's going to boo him. He can only be cheered and pushed to get the job done. So if Amorim, I know he's the coach I think he is. Between the 2 goalkeepers.
You think he'll go back to Onana?
I think he'll go back to Onana.
Talk to me about Newcastle a little. You want to touch on United?
Just
quick.
I would say in the Europa League, they've been fine. That one, we've seen a lot of good performances. But their league performance is very concerning.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, no coach should disagree with me. I think Amorim has to take some of the blame for it, for sure. Because you can't tell me that you've been here for 21 games, you've won 6, and 3 of them have been Ipswich. What's the other one? Southampton and Leicester. 3 of those 6. That's very concerning. And it's not. I think you can't tell me that the players are that bad that you can't beat some of the other teams in the league. I think that's a bit much. So I want to say that I think Amorim should take some of the blame for sure. I don't think he's, like we said, coming in the middle of the season is not always easy. It's very difficult, but you can also criticize what they've done regardless of that. Because for me, this is, look.
It's just unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable, honestly. But fair credit to him, like I've said, the Europa League has been very good. They are doing very well in the Europa League. So,
should be able to win it.
When coach says they can win it, I know when you look at their league form, it sounds far-fetched, but they've not lost a game in the Europa League so far, have they?
No,
they've not lost a game. They're unbeaten so far. They've done very well. We've seen them play against teams you think will give them a bit more trouble. Sociedad,
I thought Sociedad would knock them out.
They've been able to play well against them. So I think that is very realistic. It's very possible. So let's see how that goes. But talking about Newcastle, I think they've picked form at the right time of the season.
Yep.
I think at the beginning they were a bit more shaky, but it looks like they are now getting to form, them and Aston Villa, which is what makes the European race, because you have these 2 teams kind of picking up. I think Bournemouth are the opposite.
Yeah,
and
I
think I saw a stat that Iraola, his last 9 games last season, they won like 2 or 1, something. So I think his teams get tired.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we are
seeing. If you look at the style of football, it makes sense.
So I think we are seeing the team is getting tired.
Yeah.
And other teams are kind of ramping up. So that Champions League place you are talking about, Newcastle look like a very good bet for it. And like you said, they have a game in hand. They are currently 5th, correct?
Yeah.
No,
They are
4th. So they've gone to 4th.
Yeah.
City are 5th.
Yeah.
And they have a game in hand. So now they are looking at Nottingham Forest. They are not looking behind them.
And I think they are just a point or 2 behind Nottingham Forest.
Yeah. So look, I think right now, before
I just the points behind them.
There you go.
So when I did my top 5 for the season, I thought it'd be Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Bournemouth, and Nottingham Forest. But I think Bournemouth have dropped out.
But you had Bournemouth and Forest for your top 5?
No, I did it. The last time I did this was like February. No, like I didn't. I'm not a wizard.
I would have been surprised.
No, I'm not a wizard. So around February, I thought that those were the teams. But Bournemouth, I think they've gotten out. I think Newcastle will come in and be their 5th team for sure. But I won't forget about Aston Villa. Aston Villa are also looking very potent.
I'm a bit worried for Nottingham Forest because they are not used to being where they are. And the fact that now they are beginning to.
But you see, because it's 5th. I think because it's 5th and a lot of the teams below them will be playing each other.
Yeah, okay.
I think that and they can beat those teams.
They need to be careful actually, because between 3rd 57 and 8th 48.
It's very close.
If you look at the games, and they all play each other to round up the season.
The reason I trust Nottingham Forest is that Nottingham Forest are very good against these teams, because these teams are behind them and also come at them, which is exactly where Forest wants to be. They want to relax and that kind of, which is why even if you look at, I don't know, we haven't done the Nottingham Forest Everton match, but look at the goal they conceded. It's more so that they were chasing the win and they kind of miscontrolled the ball in midfield, and they don't play that way usually.
Even Newcastle have a few tricky games. So let me just go through their fixtures. So their next game is against Palace at home. Then they have Aston Villa, which will have a big say on then they have Ipswich. I expect them to win. They have Brighton. I expect them to win, but it's a complicated
Brighton are
game.
Also in that
in that bracket.
contest.
Then they have Chelsea, Arsenal, and Everton to finish the season.
Look,
those are very tough games. But I think they are very
Arsenal,
good at home.
But them, they are deep in the Champions League. They will not push it. Chelsea, they will beat Chelsea all day. Newcastle would actually make Champions League.
But you are right, they do have tough games. But that's why I said, that's why I'm looking at Nottingham Forest thinking that because all these other teams also have tough games against each other, and they have the advantage right now.
It will cancel us.
Yeah, they can. Look, I'm not saying Nottingham Forest will sit in third, but I think
if
they drop below fifth, I'll be very surprised. That's more what I'm saying.
Let's go to Spain. Real Madrid determined not to drop any more points. Let's get back-to-back highlights. Let's do Leganés Barcelona first, and then we'll do Alaves Real Madrid. Back-to-back highlights. Let's do this. Real Madrid and Barcelona both grabbing narrow wins. It's still 4 points between the two teams. There's still a Clásico to play. Real Madrid will be hoping that Barca will probably slip up before the Clásico. Looks unlikely as things stand now. Coach?
They will not slip up. They will use them to win the title. When they come, they'll collect another 4, then the title will be over.
Honestly, that's more likely.
Yeah, that's more likely.
I have to wonder, when is the Clásico was game week 34?
Yeah.
It's about 3 game weeks from now.
Yeah, I think game week.
Mbappe is not going to play.
No, I think
he'll be back before then.
No,
let me just check
that's straight red card.
There's a Copa del Rey in the mix.
Yeah. There's a Copa del Rey Clásico in the mix.
But you see, that's straight
red card or two games?
3 starting from this one.
Three will be if it is deemed violent conduct.
That's a very bad tackle.
So maybe if they were to pass
I think regularly the straight red is 2.
Then 2
if
more.
they deem the red card to be of a violent nature, then you get 3 games. I don't know.
That was a very bad tackle.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I actually did not understand why he did that.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to me.
That's why, and right now I'm thinking that maybe he won't make it for that class. If it's in 3 games.
No.
So let me just check for you.
He should play in the Clásico. Don't want anybody to.
So Real Madrid
he didn't play.
But he's messed up.
Real Madrid have so Bilbao next, and then Getafe. Then they have the Clásico, and then Celta before the League Clásico.
Okay, so he might.
So he will make it to the League Clásico, even if it's 3 games.
But depending on the red card rules in Spain, he might miss the Copa del Rey Clásico.
No, he should play. They should play. They should play.
I think time is almost gone. Let me just take quick thoughts from you guys on Barca and Real Madrid, the title race. What's even in front of them, Champions League, all of that. As
for Barcelona, they are in Champions League. They are already into the semi-finals. I expect that. Dortmund surely will not overturn the 4-0 lead deficit. Not on this current Barcelona team that works tirelessly without the ball.
Did you see Rafinha?
Tirelessly without the ball, they will not throw it away. And of course, with regards to whether they will throw the league away, I think it is theirs to lose.
Yeah,
it is theirs to lose, and I expect it to keep it a 4-point gap until Real Madrid comes home, and then after that game it will be a 7-point gap.
Well,
then they're going to win it.
Well, there was the Clásico in Germany ended 2-2 between Dortmund and Bayern Munich. I can't show you that one. I'll just read a few more messages and then
I just want to talk about
take this one home.
The Bundesliga. I think we should give some credit to Vincent Kompany. He's looking very likely to win the title with Bayern. I know we all say, it's Bayern, but Bayern lost the title last season.
Exactly.
And the season before that, if Dortmund hadn't messed up on the last day,
they would have lost
the title again.
In fact, I've been a big fan of it. People have been trying to say that he's not doing well.
No, I'll give him
a lot of doubt.
I'll give him credit.
Look, he's done well, but for the injury situation, it would have given Inter Milan a better game than.
I think so.
So I'll give him credit for sure, and I think we have to worry about Leverkusen. What comes next? Because it was always going to be very difficult. Look, they had a record-breaking first undefeated season. They almost got the points record in the Bundesliga last season.
Yeah.
So there was definitely going to be some drop-off. But I have to wonder, is Alonso going to stay?
Alonso is definitely going to Real Madrid.
Is Florian Wirtz going to stay? When is he going? These are all questions that have to be answered. So
big questions.
Very, very strange one for Leverkusen. But I think also, when you don't have that kind of big money owner who's willing to spend money,
he will sell
you have to live between, and it's the 50+1. So the fans are not bringing money like that. So you have to live within your means. So players have to go.
Well, let me read some messages to close out the show. Lamin Inyasi says, hello guys, enjoying the show from the Gambia. So that's him over there. This one here is from John Jack from Bejekope, I think it's La Flaho. I hope I got that right. Says, I wish Party and his teammates good luck on Wednesday. They'll surely qualify. I have another one here. Again from the Gambia. So Lamin Nyasi again says Chelsea need a proper striker, a proper coach, and a mature leader in the middle of the park. For United, tell coach let them win the Europa and come through the window into the Champions
League. The proper
League.
striker, his Gambian friend Nicolas Jackson is there. Why is he sacking his Gambian?
No,
he was born in Gambia.
He was born in Gambia. Okay.
Yeah. This one here. Okay, I think that's about it from us. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much, Susu. Thank you very much to all of you who sent us the messages. Lamin Nyasi, I see you. Keep sending us messages. Edia TV also from Togo. We appreciate it. Thank you guys all for making the show what it is. Same time next week, Scorecard will be back on your screens.